Hello, everyone. Hi. Someone sitting in the van just waved to me when he saw my filming. Good morning, everyone. Hello from artist community of Carrizozo, New Mexico, USA. David, I remember you. Yeah, that place. Artist community of Carrizozo. I have a tour tomorrow to visit a 70-year-old painter. And I made a tour last time with him. This is the second time. And this time, I'm going to go inside his house into his studio to see where he creates all his paintings. It's going to be tomorrow about the same time. Now I'm walking into the village that is located over there. Actually, I was in the village 10 minutes ago to kind of case the joints with my wife. I've been here twice. This is my third visit here. And this morning, after I dropped off my children, I drove here in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. It's another quite well-known village in this area. I would say it's not as touristy as the one that I showed you yesterday in the sense that there are maybe less tourists, but there are still some tourists here, and there's a parking here. It's actually getting, busy this time of the year for the canola in bloom. There are a lot of canola fields around here. People mainly come here to see the canola in bloom. I don't think they necessarily really come here to see the village or see the old streets in the village, but this is what I'm going to show you today. And I was in the village 10 minutes ago, and then I came out to go to a public toilet. Okay. You can see there's a river here. There isn't much water in this river. This is the same river that flows through my village, the Changxi village. And the name of this village is called Shitan in Chinese. Shi literally means a stone, and tan maybe pool, stone pool, something like this. Phoenix, Barbara, Carl, Fliss, 你好. 早上好, everyone. Thank you for being here. See, it's getting busy. There are some tourist cars, and a lot of people these days travel in vans like those you're seeing in front of you on the right side. Mobile home cars. It's getting more popular. And here are the vans of local people. There are some local people or hustlers who are targeted at the visitors this time of the year. When I was here actually last time, a few days ago, there were very few cars. But now it's getting busy because they expect to have tourists coming here to see the canola in bloom. These drivers are getting busy. They are waiting for the kickoff of the canola in bloom. And I got to know that in 2 days, they're going to be very, very busy. And they are going to drive all day long for all different groups of tourists coming to visit here. And just now, when I parked my car right here, even before I actually stopped the car, and they were actually coming to me to offer me kind of like a car ride service, tour guide service, etc. Before I even stopped. It's actually quite a dramatic juxtaposition, in my view, to see how local villagers live. In addition to the tourists who come to visit from different towns and cities, they are just dressed so differently, as I see. And they kind of have different mannerisms. Okay, let me keep walking. Yes, very different from life in the city. Yeah, I'm not just talking about the substantial parts you get to see. I'm more talking about how people behave. All right, here in the beautiful rape seed flowers world. Yeah, the canola. All right. Now I'm filming from a small village in southeastern China, Anhui Province in southeastern China of the province. They are the backroom boys and girls here in China. And here you can see in this small hill there are some tea bushes. It's the beginning of spring. People are getting busy. Later, they will harvest their tea buds, which was an important part of their annual income. And there are also tombs. Those yellow cards are the stickers to trap and catch bugs. Yeah. I heard that people now are building more tombs. Actually, they do this ahead of time. Why? Because they expect a policy that may come in effect soon, that is to prevent even local villagers, at least limit the local villagers from building tombs when they die. So that, in other words, cremation is more encouraged. Under this kind of expectation, a lot of folks here are just racing with time in building tomb. Yeah, in China, if you have watched my other tours, here in the village area, a lot of people, they build coffins and tombs ahead of time before they pass away. Sometimes out of the reason to save some money, sometimes to just maybe beat a policy. All right, now we're getting closer to this village. It's typical black and white Anhui school of Chinese architecture. Coffin making trade will die off then. Yeah. I first visited this village last year in September. And then actually I saw a graffiti writing there. Now I'm zooming in the parts I'm talking about. It's on this building, look. In the skirt part of the building, there's a whitewashed part of the wall. And actually last year, there was still writing there. And that writing was quite interesting. So it caught my attention. I even took a photo of it. And that writing said, global great man, Chairman Mao and Deng Xiaoping welcome you on the left side, all right? And on the right side, there is something more nonsensical that says, eat, eat, eat. Play, play, play. Enjoy eating. Actually, you know what? You can still see a kind of a faded image of Chairman Mao over there. Can you see it? Yeah. So I believe that kind of writing over there last year was considered improper. So now it has been covered in plaster. But I still have the photo. Just now, and actually still going on, people are playing firecrackers. People are setting up firecrackers. You get to hear that at times. Whether be it in a city or in a village like this here. Sometimes people in a city can also hear the firecrackers, especially on weekends when there's a wedding or maybe the grand opening of a business. So it's customary for people still to do that in China. And later I'm going to show you some old architecture from inside, including the ancestral temples. There's a pretty well-preserved ancestral temple here with ornate details that I'm going to show you. I thought it was a gunshot. I found that writing very interesting. Pity it was covered. It is history. Fliss, I mean, not that one. Not that one, because there's something that doesn't fit with the mention of like Chairman Mao and Deng Xiaoping. I said something like eat, 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 play, play, play. Enjoy your eating. All right. There's a bridge that leads into the village from here. Pretty big houses owned by local farmers. And you can see in the first floor, there are some dining tables with at least one lazy Susan that I can see from here. So since they expect the tourists to come, most of the families here, as long as the buildings are inhabited, they try to take advantage of the tourism. They try to make some kind of money in selling maybe specialties or in catering, providing services as tour guide, as driver, etc. There's my wife who is talking with the local folks. Before I step in, let me give you another angle of this village. Are they strict there about filming inside, or can you just go anywhere like a cafe and start filming? Phoenix, there are no rules written about the limitations where and when you can film or not. But a lot of people, they are a bit unnatural in front of a camera in China, because I think, Chinese people, they are not used to be in a situation to expose their emotions to people. They are more introverted. I'm one of them. Just like many other boys and girls in China, when I was younger, I was a quite shy guy. I would say this is quite stereotypical in China. Not stereotypical, this is just a typical. Stereotypical has a different meaning. So let me replace the stereotypical with just the typical. Look, here's the name of this old streets inside this village. That is Shitan Laojie, the old street of Shitan, which was the name of the village. Look at the beam. You will see similar beams in a house in this village. This is the regular gourd-shaped beam that you get to see in Anhui School of Architectures. It's like a piece of a gourd. See? There's a slight curve, and it's quite stout as it looks. It's not thin. It's like a big gourd. How old is this village? This village probably started in Qing Dynasty, back 400, 500 years ago. Basically, when Chinese people talk about the history of a village, it's always closely related to where there are identifiable patriarchs moved and settled here, okay? Especially in rural China. Of course, when you go to, for example, ancient capital of China, like Beijing, the beginning of the history in the capital city of China usually is bonded with when it became the capital and when there was a ruler, an emperor, who came in to play. But here, it's related to mainly the ancestors, the patriarch, the first patriarchs. So usually, according to the local accounts, in those villages I've been to, yeah, most of them started to be inhabited by the first batch of ancestors back in Ming Dynasty. The alleyway is quite narrow. I'd better wait here until this man passes. This is the second token we get to see here under a window. This character stands for Buddha. We saw the first one just now, and here's the third one. A lot of tokens in Chinese culture. People like to use tokens to convey their ideas. Also to invoke for protection or good luck. There's a public spirit poster here. Everybody join in the campaign of environmental protection. Build a beautiful village, clean and beautiful village. All right, there's an ancestral temple here. There are actually more than one ancestral temple. There are actually mainly two different halls. I would say there are actually different ancestral temples that belong to one family, but they have different halls. This is one of the halls. And here, the last name of the tribe is Wu, spelled in Chinese pinyin W-U, Wu. And we can still see those writings here. And there is another more Qing Dynasty looking gate. This is a typical gate you get to see in a Chinese Qing Dynasty house in this area of China. There are a lot of details, the carvings. The brick carving here is one of the main features of Anhui School of Architecture. There are three mainly types of carvings: brick carving, stone carving, and wood carving.
它这个窗户很特别，你看它那里用一张纸写了个佛字，驱邪的哈。
Yeah, here is another token with the character written on it, Buddha, to drive away the evil spirits or for protection, whatever. This is a reminiscent of Mao's era. I'm not old enough to live through even a bit of Mao's era. But you don't have to really live through it to understand a bit of it. And here is the writing. It says, 要斗私批修, must fight privatization and criticize revisionism. No private business. It's bad. So criticize revisionism, any movement towards the capitalism. All right. And there are, look, here, the wood carvings. There are a lot of tokens again.
木雕。
Clouds, cirrus. In 2008 Beijing Olympic Games, they used a lot of cirrus pattern on the designs of a lot of important symbols. And that kind of clouds or cirrus is also called auspicious cirrus. And here we get to see this kind of a gourd beam again. There's a high threshold. This is the symbol of status of the owner, of the family who owned this building before. In China, there's a proverb that is 门当户对. Literally, 门当户对 refer to the ornaments you find at the gate of somebody's house. But actually, it suggests that people in a similar status can meet and go into marriage. Only that. And for example, now we see two drum-shaped stones, one on each side of the gate. This is one of the ornaments I'm talking about. to show the status of the owner. And the high threshold itself is also one important one and quite obvious one. Only in special ceremonies or important people are seen, they remove the bars over there. Otherwise, it just means that you can't get in. It's not your place. And there's actually another ancestral temple over there. And that one is open. We can go inside to visit. I heard that one is open. I just need to move the lock a little bit to get in. So before we get in, let's have a look at here the quotations of Chairman Mao. Thank you, Laurie. The quotations of Chairman Mao, there are two. One on each side, very big. There are two. This is another ancestral temple of the same family. And now in this village, the residents are mostly the descendants of the first batch of the patriarchs who settled here. And usually when you refer to a Chinese historical account about those villagers in this area, they will tell you that those people moved here, let's say in Song Dynasty, Ming Dynasty, or even as early as Tang Dynasty, mainly to escape from a chaotic upheaval, like a war, because of a kind of a peasants' rebellion. One group of peasants, they just arose because they just couldn't bear anything more in the society, the previous society, so they rose to overturn the previous system. In China history, there's full of different peasant rebellions. Let me try to translate what it says here. 社会的财富是工人. The wealth of the society is workers, peasants, and working intellectuals. They created the wealth of society. As normally as those people control their destiny. Together with Marxist and Leninism route, not to evade problems, but to meet and solve the problems in a proactive attitude. Anything in the world can be solved. Any problem, any difficulties can be solved in the world. So they had generals as a patriarch. Yes, Smith. I would say in Chinese culture, there is a balance between power and literature. Here, generals are more related to power. But in ancient time of China, there was actually the imperial examination system for ill-fated people to change the destiny of their life. A lot of people, they worked so hard as a student to learn Confucianism and other doctrines are based on Confucianism to be a scholar. And they went to different examinations in a county, in province, and eventually in the central government. As long as they passed the examination, they were eligible of being selected as an official. So I would say the literature part, if you look at it from this perspective, maybe is a little bit more important in China history. There is a group of people inspecting this place. They look like retired cadres. Look at the wood carving details up there. The Chinese lions. I need to stay a few meters away to evade the cigarette smoke. Francisca, thank you. What do people think of these say now? Now? Based on just a mere thinking, you may think after so many years, and also the relatively modern educational system, people maybe have changed a little bit. Yes, a little bit, but in general, because loyalty is such an important part of a Chinese tradition. I would say people, they still cling to that tradition to be just loyal and be deferential to the hierarchy and power in China. All right, let's have a look at what it says here. After the enemies with guns are eliminated, there are still enemies without guns existing. They will for sure be engaged in hell-bent struggles with us. We cannot neglect those enemies. If we now do not raise those questions and realize those questions, we are bound to make a horrible, big mistake. This is another quote of Chairman Mao. 兰兰，那边那个开的是吧？那边那个开的是吧？开的。哦。Okay, the second one, there's another one. All right, here's the one that is open. And I can get in to show you the inside of the ancestral temple. So what is the history of where you are at? And I said, the history of this village may go back to hundreds of years ago. Again, I try to just speak for myself. That is, I cannot tell for sure when this village started. And first of all, there's no specific accounts on it. And second, because, in China, a lot of histories were just left by people who were submissive to the power in a hierarchical system. Sometimes I don't quite, put my trust so much on those. But I told you that in Tang Dynasty, Song Dynasty, and the Ming Dynasty, from as early as 1,200 years ago, people started to move from central part of China to this area. And in different upheavals caused by peasant rebellions. There are some plaques showing the importance of this ancestral temple. And the one on the right here, it says Wu Bangguo's original domicile. Wu Bangguo is the name of a person who used to be Chinese vice premier in the era of Bill Clinton of the United States. And then Chinese leader was Jiang Zemin, Premier Zhu Rongji, and Wu Bangguo was then the vice premier. Before he became vice premier, He was a Shanghai mayor under Zhu Rongji, who was then Shanghai's Secretary General. So after Zhu Rongji went to the central government, he also followed the steps to become the vice premier. So Wu Bangguo is the name of the person, and his last name is Wu, which is the last name I just mentioned. That is the last name of those folks in this village. Have a look. This threshold is so high. I am actually a little bit above the average height of an adult man in China, but I just find it difficult to cross it. Especially here at the top, there is a broader piece that makes my crotch so hard. All right, but anyway, I will go inside. Maybe I can do what Liu Xiang does, or Liu Xiang did. Have you heard of Liu Xiang? A 110-meter hurdler from Shanghai many years ago. And he was a legendary athlete of Chinese. He broke the world record and he won different championships as a Chinese Asian man. In that field, that was a tremendous achievement. All right, let me first of all sit on this broad piece and then roll myself over. Okay, now I'm in the ancestral temple. This is how I got in. I'm not that status. You have to sit on it and swing around. That's right, Tina, this is what I did. All right, it's quite grand-looking ancestral temple. Now you can see the display of a lot of paintings, calligraphy works, and also the records left by the folks living now or living just in the older generation. There's the central part here without roof. There's always this that is considered a place for people to, first of all, get some sunlight. But this is probably not feng shui thinking. In feng shui thinking of Chinese, this is where people gather water. And you see here, there's a shallow water channel system that goes around this patio on the ground. So this is for water to gather. And water in Chinese culture is usually considered the symbol of wealth. Probably for a good reason. For a practical reason, because in Ming Dynasty, there was a trade in this area with other parts of China, even with outside China. Yeah, so a lot of goods made here were transported through canals and rivers. Therefore, people, of course, they attach great importance to water. You have to have water in front of the temple and mountain at the back. This is a feng shui principle. The urn looks like ship, yeah. This is a censer, an incense burner. After you get in, before you really see the tablets of the ancestors' names on it, you have to be dutifully holding incense sticks. Bow at least 3 times to the ancestors, and then respectively place your incense sticks here in this burner before you do other ceremonial procedures. And there you can see a scroll painting with 2 figures as the patriarch and the matriarch of the clan in this village. And there are a lot of wooden plaques, a lot of vertical long pieces. And they have Chinese character inscription on those. Sometimes they are the poetic sentences, and oftentimes here in the ancestral temple, they are actually the honorary merits of the family written here. For example, here in this shiny golden one, it says 吏部文章朝日月. Kind of says the articles of official department is brilliant as moon and the sun. Would this temple have had a Buddha in it at one time? Yes, David. In China, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism are oftentimes integrated. In the ancestral temple, sometimes you do see some details of Buddhism. But I would say sometimes it is also just because of the family choice. For instance, if one important patriarch of the family was once an adherent of Buddhism, and the later generation, out of respect, they may have put, maybe a small shrine of Buddhism for people to remember. It depends. But usually in the ancestral temple, it is a place to show the merits of the family. And also, there are official achievements throughout history, like what official titles different families have got throughout history. That's the important part. And as I told you, in China, there was the imperial examination system. People studied Confucius' doctrines and ideology for the examination. And those successful scholars, if they passed the examination and their articles were appreciated by the examiners or the emperor, they became an official. All right, there's another part behind. It's higher. There's a foundation here. That is the mimic of a mountain. And the hall up there, since it is placed on a foundation like a mountain, it just looks more majestic, with more importance. An ancestral temple in old days of China was a place to respect the ancestors. That is an important part of Chinese hierarchical tradition. And also a place to exercise the family precepts and the disciplines. If someone in the family was identified as a black sheep by maybe a Jewry group in the family, or maybe simply by just the alpha male in the family, he or she could be punished here. As a warning to other members in the family. There's still such remnants, of course, in present-day China, because history didn't form just in one day. China has a long history of an imperial system, and this kind of ancestral temple is a cell in that system for a family to finally form a system that is for everyone to be submissive to the power. All right, now I'm looking backward. There's a gourd beam on the floor. Let me show you the gourd beam again here, the largest piece. So thick. The vertical pieces, columns, are just a clear cut, perpendicular. But the horizontal pieces are usually slightly curved. Just have a look. How punished? Different ways. Different ways. I mean, the latest reference you can maybe check with the Cultural Revolution, how people were persecuted. But that was, of course, a little bit different. Here I'm talking about the domestic discipline, punishment in the family. Sometimes it could be even more severe and more serious. Usually, I think I heard from the folks in the village I live in now, actually decades ago, there was still this kind of a punishment in which a younger man was punished by another important member of the family in the building. And I think the way they did it is the man was the man was just fixed to a post, and the hands were all fastened. So then there was a whipping on it, on the body of the man. Of course, I would say this kind of thing nowadays has obviously dropped so much. In general, the whole world has been much more civilized, and this also has benefited the traditional societies like in China and in Russia. But let's say back in 1940s and 50s, there were still such things happening. Especially before 1980s, because I would say 1980s is considered a watershed between China in the global stage and the China as a closed society. And what happened to define that watershed is the establishment of the formal diplomatic relationship between China and the United States. That happened in the year 1971 after Nixon visited China. But it took a while for things to actually take effect. So that's why I said in 1980s, things started to change quite obviously in China. And I was born in the year 1985. A lot of old articles. Huh. No smoking. All right. All right, let me do the patty stunt again. Made it. 兰兰，刚才你们说那里面有个什么可以看的？老房子了。
这是以前的公社。
哦，那我到前面再去拍一拍。
前面可以，前面你走进去也有老房子的。
All right, now I'm walking towards a square part in this village. It's a relatively spacious area for the local folks to gather and do like communal things together here. All right, 一会儿看一下，一会儿差不多这里看一下它的竹子，差不多这里结束了。This is the square area I wanted to show you. Probably in a sunny day, people air dry things here. They do work here. So in the beginning of the tour, I talked about the dramatic coexistence of the visitors from cities in China here with the local folks, like those now you can see sitting over there. They're just a different people. They live as if in different worlds. So different. But it has been taken for granted in China. All right, there is still the blurred writing from old days that says, "Long life Chairman Mao." The subtitle under it says, "We are indefinitely faithful to the great leader Mao, Chairman Mao." Indefinitely faithful. When we were in Xi'an, we went to the local square and loved it. You certainly know your history. Thank you, Francisca. Here is another famous quote from Chairman Mao. Which is, serve the people. 为人民服务, serve the people. And my wife just now mentioned a craftsman doing his bamboo work by the square. Let's have a look over there. Wow, there's a fat chicken. Oh, 他这里书画工作室。
你写啊？哦哟，阿爸跟我作业写毛笔去过。你和我跟上哪里个？没水。我写那个为啥？5月上就会水吧？哎。把那个去个了。那错吧？给毛笔去写了好的很。为水个毛笔是看写的。
My wife is talking with the folks here, and actually my wife's grandfather used to live here, and actually a quite famous person in this town, in this village. And every time when my wife raises her grandfather's name with the local older generation folks, they actually know him. know his name. And my wife's grandfather during the Cultural Revolution was the one who got persecuted. And most of the local generation, most of the old generation folks here, they actually knew that episode. You can tell that this man is a lover of calligraphy. He practices Chinese calligraphy, and also he collects some stones. Chinese people like their grotesque stones. The more grotesque, the better. The more precious, the more expensive. They don't like the smooth pebbles. They like the stones with holes, corrugated the skin.也不一定是美国的，就是全世界讲英语的，包括就是中国讲英语的，只要喜欢英语的都有。英语不光说是美国的啊。可以看一下吗？可以看一下吗？ Here is the man's bamboo shop. People here also use the single wheelbarrow, which I asked my wife about it and why I don't get to see people use the single wheelbarrows in the village. In her place, that's very different.兰兰，他这些竹子的话是卖给游客的？
他都卖呗，游客也卖嘛，里面的人也卖呗。
哦，也卖的。就是有些人他要打竹子。对对对。工具也问他要。现在像他这种手艺人不多的呗。本地人卖得多呗。我本地人买的多哈，你看我说喂，他打得很好的呗。 老师傅了。
对。没老师了，老师了。没人做了现在。你都要拿真好呗哈。
The old man just commented, "This is a lost art." He said, "Nobody does it anymore."
你看这个漂亮吗？很精巧，很精细。
A quaint basket. 多少钱？
给工人们完了，直接洗干货币120。
这个120哈。120 yuan.
便宜吗？哈。
Like $17.
人家砸错了，要买给砸错了，你喽。
It's a traditional craftsmanship. I like the big round ones. And the local people, they use this kind of a basket to pick tea leaves in spring. That one. That one with a S-shape statue.
那这个好看，小辉。啊？它挂在墙上的这个好看。哎，那啥去，我去这个哈。小上这个，打上这个。打上去个。
Look at the pattern.
变起那个不是小个，小个就没本事的。
跟个黑个那啥去握个喽，握的再编起去喽。
这个黑色的是。
它是画好以后再编上去。
这是写墨汁。
墨汁。
用墨汁写的。是先编好再写的吗？
不是。
不是。
写好再编。
先把这个涂好，把这个黑的像这样涂好，再编起来。
啊，先涂黑。
不擦。
你看喜。
That is an auspicious one.
福禄寿喜。
Good pattern. There are 4 characters in the design. They're respectively fortune,
福禄寿喜
prosperity, longevity, and double happiness. That is a good one. And ask the man if he made the craft first and then painted, or the other way around. He said he first painted the bamboo. The bamboo strips that, look, those are the strips he is making now. He first painted the black strips and then weaved them into a pattern. I think we're going to call an end of this tour with these are 4 auspicious characters for you. Look, it's nice. The backside, the bottom is so nice. It's red. And here we've got again fortune, prosperity, longevity, and double happiness. So, guys, let's call it an end with here. How much is that basket? 这个多少钱？ 680. It's almost $100 US. Let's say $90 above. Yeah, it's almost $100. Really? Oh, okay. And the man said it took him 5 days to make this thing. Great. It's a beautiful one. It's his masterpiece. It's his masterpiece. Okay, guys, I have another tour in which I will interview a local hairdresser who is still working, an old man in his 80s, in 15 minutes. So I will see you there then, if you are interested. And that's it for this tour. Bye for now.